welcome to another episode of I Remember. For the month of April, we're going to be taking a look at a classic game on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, one I am quite nostalgic for, and that is Star Fox. Great game here, folks. I believe this came out in March of 1993. Got a lot of memories on this one, and I'm really excited to kind of tell my history with the game. And it all starts on the February issue of Nintendo Power when I first started hearing about this game, and I received the issue in the mail, and I really quickly flipped to the back cover just to see what ad Nintendo's put on the back, and they have this ad for the Super FX chip. And they tell you, there's a difference between looking at a picture and being there. So you're wondering what exactly the Super FX chip is and how it's going to change the face of the system, and it was pretty neat. The chip itself was actually put into the games that supported it, and it allowed for additional graphics capabilities, Star Fox being one of the first ones. Now, it wasn't quite the Star Fox game that caught my attention first. It was actually the little bubble here on the front of the Nintendo Power that said, New Star Fox Comic. Now, if you're not familiar with Nintendo Power, in 1992 they started introducing a comic series, and they started with A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past and Super Mario Brothers. Both had their own separate runs, and they were each in the following issues from January 1992 to December 1992. And when they finished up with them, we had our annual January Super Power Club issue that was like a bonus issue for our subscribers. And in that issue, there were no comics whatsoever, so a lot of Nintendo Power readers kind of wondered what was going on. And we got our February issue, and we saw that we got Star Fox. Now, opening up this comic book, the first time I was checking it out, it definitely made me want to play the game more. Growing up, I was a huge fan of Star Wars. I loved those movies, and this was basically kind of the same thing. You were, instead of using actual humans and other alien races, you were actually using animals. But other than that, the concept was quite cool. The comics were really well done, and I'll actually bring up a couple of panels and stuff digitally. But the comics, the artwork, even the conversation pieces were just very well done and really got you interested to see what Fox McCloud and the rest of his friends and co-pilots were going to get into as far as their adventures. And it really gave you a lot of backstory throughout the rest of the series. Now, this lasted all the way to the end of December 1993, and I always looked forward to getting my Nintendo Powers in 1993 just so the first thing I could hit would be the Star Fox comic. It was always, always, always the first thing I ever hit. So we get into the next issue after that, and of course the Star Fox comic continues, but this March issue was actually the cover issue for Star Fox. And they introduced the game, and they kind of reviewed it a little bit, and they gave you some looks at all the different maps and stuff, and they kind of did maps in an isometric perspective, which was kind of interesting. But they continued the story, and they continued the review to kind of show you what was going on with the game and to kind of hype it up. But the thing that got me was the advertisement they put in the beginning of this, and that was for Super Star Fox Weekend. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but before I get into Super Star Fox Weekend, we have to talk about how I played Star Fox for the first time. Well, we were going over to my cousin's place for the first time. He just got his own place, and we headed over there, and my cousin knew we were big gamers. He knew I was a big gamer. Every time he'd come over to babysit, he'd always rent me a NES game from Blockbuster. Well, this time was no exception. This time, he picked up Star Fox. He set up the Super Nintendo for us, turned it on. He had a pretty big TV at the time, I think, too. It looked pretty awesome. And the intro sequence, you get that music, that vroom, that just kind of starts up, that kind of low hum of music, and you got the ships flying in, and all of a sudden they just get blown to pieces due to the attack carrier that's appearing. That got me so drawn into the game, even more than the comics did, because I knew exactly what I was getting into. Of course, we started up the game, played through a little bit of the training level and stuff like that to get the handle on the controls of the R-Wing and start flying away. You begin the game, and you're flying through these tunnels. And it was so well done because they had these different sound effects, they had some voice effects that were going, and then the screen pulls up really close to the back end of all the R-Wings and they just launch out and they start their first mission. Now the overall layout of Star Fox I thought was very cool. Of course it was on the rails shooter, but the graphics were so appealing to me, the characters were so appealing to me even more because not only did I have Fox McCloud in a comic book format that I could follow through, but there he was and the rest of his co-pilots right on the screen talking to each other. And I gotta say, even though they couldn't really generate words with the limited capabilities of the Super Nintendo at the time, their language speak that they did was enough for me to kind of, ignore and just get through it, and that's the way they talked. And when they went to Star Fox 64, they, did actual digitalized actors and everything. They did actual voice actors for it. And for me, that was my first real shock when you hear Slippy the Frog for the first time, because he's very deep in the Super Nintendo version with his sounds he makes, and then you hear him on the Nintendo 64 version, you just want to punch him in the face. And I know that is a regular thing for a lot of people. They just want to punch Slippy in the face, and I can kind of understand how they feel. So to get back to what we were doing at my cousin's, me and my little brother were taking turns playing through it, blasting through the stages, going through the asteroid field, going through the Space Armada and flying through those ships and blowing them up through the outside. Just very, very cool. So that was kind of my end of playing Star Fox there, because obviously the night was over. It was a rented game. We couldn't take it with us. And from that point, the next time I played it would be renting it from our local video store. Now that I played the game, I was ready to find out if we could do the Super Star Fox Weekend. And it turned out that the local Walmart was actually doing Super Star Fox Weekend. And what Super Star Fox Weekend was, it was a special cartridge only for certain stores that were doing the Super Star Fox Weekend. And it had special levels kind of clipped together and put together. And the object of Super Star Fox Weekend was to get the highest point tally. Obviously, it was a huge promotional thing for Nintendo to get people to buy Star Fox, and a lot of people participated in this contest and played. We were amped up just to go play it. Now, we went to the Walmart, and this was after we rented the game, and I was studying the maps and getting ready to just, dominate the competition, right? I think as far as I got was I believe it's a second level asteroid field, and I couldn't even destroy the asteroid crusher. I was crushed in the end because my score wasn't that good. And here comes my little brother, who didn't play it as much as me, played it pretty casually, and he comes in and just destroys me. Totally blows my score away. And I remember my dad and the Walmart employee behind me saying, "Man, the younger they are, the better they get." God, I was so pissed at my little brother for beating my score. But we never made it into any semifinals or anything like that. But if you participated in the contest, you actually got a Star Fox pin, which I actually still have mine. I've kept these after all these years. And I'll do a zoom in on this so you can see, because it's really hard to see from this end. But man, getting that piece of video game memorabilia for participating in the contest, that was tasty, man. That was just awesome. It was great. So that was the end of Super Star Fox Weekend. The only other time I'd actually see anything to do with Super Star Fox Weekend after that was in the very first Super Power Supplies catalog, which if you were a Nintendo Power subscriber, you were part of the Nintendo Power Super Power Club, and you got all this cool merchandise and memorabilia you could buy. And what they had here was all the cartridges that were at the Super Star Fox Weekend. They took and they actually sold them in this catalog. And let's see, looking at this, it was 45 bucks for this competition pack. Now if you look online, this competition pack goes from like 200 to 600 bucks depending on if it has all the contents and everything with it. So it went up there, and I've always been kind of thinking about picking one up, but I really can't drop the cash on that much. I'd rather get a reproduction cart. So another kind of interesting story I have with Star Fox. Eventually, I bought my own copy. I put it on layaway at Walmart, and any allowance or money I got from my grandma, we put together and went out to Walmart and paid it off and got it home. I played the crap out of it, of course. Did all the different secrets, like there was the black hole you could take. There was also a certain Easter egg ending you could get if you took a certain path. We knew all that stuff. we had Star Fox nailed down to a T. So I let my friend James borrow it. He played it a couple times at my place and thought it was pretty cool. Well, one day I go into school and James isn't there. And I wonder, hey, you know, is he sick? I'm asking around. As it turned out, James had a fire at his house. His parents' house actually went down completely in flames. And, you know, of course I was concerned for his safety and everything, but I was thinking, oh man, my copy of Star Fox, I was so upset, you know, now the game is gone. And you couldn't find it after a certain time. It was kind of weird. Well, as it turned out, as they were going through the wreckage of the house, Star Fox was actually intact. It was charred. The label was okay. The cartridge itself was like black, but the game played perfectly fine. It just smelled really weird. So we used to always joke that it was like the Black Fire edition of Star Fox, so kind of funny there. So after a few months of playing Star Fox and following the comics and getting into it and everything, you know, you can only play a game so much, so the comics was really the only way of actually expanding the universe and getting into it. And of course, at the end of 1993 December, the Star Fox comics came to a close. The series was great, the artwork was excellent, and I thought it did a decent job of following everything. Well, we hit 1993, and we hit the Mega Man X2 issue of Nintendo Power. And you flip to the pack watch, and you gotta imagine here, huge Star Fox fanboy, loving this stuff. Sitting down, I open it up, and what's in pack watch? A preview for Star Fox 2. And it looks freaking amazing. Now you got all these other planets you can go to. You can go back to any of the other planets. It's more of an open world. It really gives you the experience of now you're really a space pilot and you're venturing out and everything, and it's not tied down to just stages anymore. Really, really, really pumped up for Star Fox 2 and couldn't wait to get more information about it. Well, a couple months go by and you're not really hearing anything about Star Fox 2. And I start thinking, I mean, man, the first Star Fox was so huge, why wouldn't this game get promoted more? So what did I do? I decided to call Nintendo Power directly. So I called Nintendo Power, and I get a rep on the phone, and thinking of it now, I can't believe I actually got a rep who, you know, was very, very knowledgeable of stuff and everything, and didn't just say, you know, hey, this is like a general customer service line, get the hell off the phone, kid. Some woman picked up the phone, and I told her that, how come we're not seeing any more coverage of Star Fox 2? She gave me the unfortunate news that Star Fox 2 was canceled. And she said that she didn't have any more information other than that, but she said, unfortunately, this stuff happens. For me, that was definitely the first kind of experience with a game getting canceled. I know there's a lot of Mega Man Legend fans up there that were really upset that that game got canceled. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but games do get canceled. But in some degree, I can kind of feel you there, because my heart was crushed when I found out that Star Fox 2 wasn't coming out. Very, very disappointed there. And the reasoning behind Star Fox 2 being canceled, I guess, was Star Fox 64 was being developed for the Nintendo 64. It was about to be developed, and they didn't want this 16-bit game showing up something on their 64-bit system. And as far as the developers got with Star Fox 2 was a beta version. It's pretty unfortunate there. Thankfully, a beta version did get leaked out of it eventually, and some people finished it, and what you're looking at right here is my copy of Star Fox 2, and this is a reproduction cartridge. I used the Super FX2 chip, and it's fun, but it's very different from the original Star Fox. It's fun to be able to play it. I definitely think Star Fox 64 is probably a better game overall. But Star Fox 2 is still something cool to have. It's just unfortunate that it never got to see the light of day due to some poor judgment calls by Nintendo, especially because the Nintendo 64 ended up being delayed anyway. So that's kind of it. That's all my experience with the Star Fox series. For me, the first one will always be my favorite, and I'm really looking forward to playing through the game again on our next episode of Gamer Logic Live, along with a previous episode of Gamer Logic Live we got to do for Maniac Mansion, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I hope you guys enjoyed my little retrospect, my memories on Star Fox, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.